I'm from Davenport, and we are just in the process of establishing our chapter of Farm to School with the state as well. And like you, our goals for our chapter are to select sort of a pilot school and have them get on board with, mini food fairs or mini farmers markets, kind of like what you described. But we found that parents are very anxious to make, gigantic model changes in food service, and our district feeds about 12 to 14,000 kids a day. So it's a big project. I'm wondering what sorts of goals you set. I've heard other districts, it almost seems that it's easier for the really big districts, like say over 40,000, to make these sort of systemic changes or paradigm changes. For example, just to eliminate chicken nuggets, if you could just do that. Those are the kinds of things I think we find parents want to see. They're apples are nice, but we're sick and tired of our kids eating chicken nuggets every other day, or hot dogs, or whatever it is. But we full well understand the constraints you have, and I mean, you just demonstrated how extensive they are. Are you able to set those kinds of goals and say, I want to eliminate this much sugar, or I want to eliminate chicken nuggets?
Well, we've done some of that already between the wellness policy, USDA guidance. So, and again, looking at the U.S. Healthier School Challenge, where we're setting parameters on added sugar, added salt, more whole grain products. One of the examples we use is the pizza. I mean, there used to be pizza, now there's pizza. It's whole wheat crust, it's low fat. Most of our pizza is less than 35% calories from fat. So we've made lots of subtle changes that folks may or may not see. When it comes to the local market, we've taken a look and we've talked about, okay, so what do we use that we buy weekly, but we don't buy lots of them? So peppers, cucumbers, things like that, that would be something that probably the secondary students would see, simply because of volume, and we do lots of chef salads and deli sandwiches, so we're using lots of produce in those kinds of menu items already. So those are kinds of the things that we're looking at right now. And then with our recipes, lower sodium, lower salt. Again, so it's things that we're already doing and we've been doing for a while, but as a parent or a consumer, you might not notice any difference.
Do you serve chicken nuggets?
We do, about once a month. Okay. Yeah, but they're whole grain, whole wheat.
Thank you so much, everyone. I have many questions, but I want to start to follow up with someone else's. For you, Diane, if you were in a position, well, I guess what I'm wondering is this whole transition phase being difficult, and so I imagine a school system goal being maybe one entree on the menu or one dish on the menu, beginning with that is more local or that kind of a thing. If you were taking these 3 bids that are required, are you able to take one that isn't the least expensive bid? Is that something you would have the freedom to do?
You could, depending on what it was and what your reason for choosing the higher bid would be.
So the system
So
as it stands, if you had a local choice,
Right.
but then you got a national, you could still choose you
Right.
don't have to choose the least expensive one.
Right.
Okay. And then I guess to kind of focus the other question that I have, I'm also envisioning things like at each school science projects where maybe they're canning or they're doing something where a local grower brings food and it's part of the whether they're harvesting or simply just processing. Are there food handling laws that prohibit that kind of beginning to getting the students involved with making their own food?
Yes, there are. Yeah, like people can't bring a home canned thing, so I can't use things that have been made outside of the realm of an inspected cannery, things like that.
I guess what I'm saying is this might be something that would be outside of what you're serving at lunch, but is it up then to the school? I guess I'm just coming from being a room parent and bringing snacks. I can't bring local juice if it's not pasteurized, this
Correct.
kind of thing.
Right.
How would a teacher in a school go about integrating some kind of food awareness education and letting the kids eat the food? Are there regulations that you know about that they would need to fulfill in order to?
Well,
that kind of
and that's probably, we'd have to look at the source of the food, how it was being handled, how it was being prepared. And right now that fits in with the Pick a Better Snack, and that's what some schools are doing with their school gardens. They don't make enough, or they don't grow enough lettuce, say, to do a lunch menu, but they grow enough lettuce to make a little snack for classrooms. So that is feasible to do. You just have to look at the facility the school has. In our district, none of our elementary schools have any food production facilities. So you're talking about kitchen sinks, household refrigerators, very limited cold storage. So those kinds of issues have to be addressed when you're looking at, I've got a garden. Elizabeth Tate has a garden. They have 3 or 4 refrigerators and freezers, so they harvest and they send it to the families and the kids, and then they do freeze some of it to use, not as part of their school menu, but just as supplemental projects.
We have time for one more question.
Thanks, Joe Bolcom. Camiar, you noted the farm plan that's being done now by Leopold, trying to give advice to state policymakers around that. What do you see? I know you've been involved with it in terms of maybe some ideas that might come out of that. And I just make this comment to Laura's point about getting more people involved in farming. You know, if we're going to produce for 6,400 kids, we need more growers. And what resources, there's like virtually no resources at the federal or state level trying to support local food. And when we want things that people think are important, we generally try and pull some of our public money and put it behind those things, and not so much in this area. Could you comment on that as well?
Yeah, I think the Food and Farm Plan will have many different layers of action. That if we had those policies in place, so some of them would be for new farmers. But I haven't seen it. I've just participated in public meetings and provided input. But I know there has been significant input about the need for infrastructure, for light processing, for distribution, again at small or regional scale. Keeping what we currently have. For example, we have incredible businesses, meat lockers, that are around, but they're underutilized, and there's more. So we can't, if we lose them, that's like we'll lose access to local eating locally raised meats. So all of these things will be a part of it, and so there will be a whole set of recommendations that would make farm to school connections more convenient. So I'm hoping, I haven't seen any draft of it or anything, so I really don't know. It'll be out, I think, in December. I think it'll be in December. It's still in the making. I haven't seen any.
So Iowa have a food policy council?
They've changed it to food system. Iowa.
Food systems policy group. There used to be one. Now we're working on redeveloping a new one. It'll be separate. It'll be a new nonprofit. And our first inaugural meeting is November 19th.
Yeah, great.
Anyone can become members of that.
Food system, what's it called?
This is a live taping on the library channel, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to have to thank our panelists. Thank you so much, Heather Widmeyer, Camiar and Cheyenne, Laura Krause, and Diane Duncan Goldsmith, and everyone else for being here today.